Welcome to Microsoft Community Insights Podcast. We will share insights from community experts to stay updated with Microsoft. Episode we will dive into GraphRAG in Microsoft Agent Framework. And today we have a special guest called Christian. Could you please introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you for having me here. So my name is Christian Glessner, and I'm quite passionate about AI and agentic development workflows like you two, right? That's why we are here. And I'm also now for 17 years already a Microsoft MVP, and I saw so many things already with Microsoft. But I think the AI stuff is really super exciting, and it changed so many things. And really happy to be part of this big transition.
Okay, so before we dive into this episode of the theme, so you said you've been an MVP for 17 years. Do you want to tell us how you get started in your journey?
I started with SharePoint 2003. So with .NET 1.1, I think it was .NET 1.1, and then it came SharePoint 2003, and this is how I started with it. And I actually built some helpers. I don't know. I started something. It's a long tradition. I love things. I had a blog and community thing. I love SharePoint, which I started and published a lot of examples and web parts. And so suddenly I came an email. Oh, I'm an MVP, and I say, whoa, didn't expect it. And since that I'm in the program. But recently or many years, I don't do so much SharePoint anymore. It's still a nice technology, but most of the time you explain the people why they have to collaborate, and it's more like, and less a tech topic. It's more like a change management topic to make people working and sharing knowledge. And after 5-10 years, it gets a little bit monotone somehow, and you want to switch. Then I also did a lot of mixed reality and then virtual reality as a nice technology. Started then to combine that with AI. But recently, it's mostly AI. There's the highest demand. And I also see you can really make really exciting things with AI in a very short time. And so recently, I mostly do AI.
Okay. Yeah. So before, were you like a SharePoint MVP? Then you switched to AI. So what was your transition?
Between mixed reality.
Oh, okay. So
and
it's
now I transition more into that AI topics here.
Okay, it's when you're into mixed reality, and then you're just curious to learn more, and because it's part of AI, so you're trying to keep up to date with mixed reality.
Yeah, what I always liked about it, and I combined the two topics a long time. I always thought AI is a little bit, I never liked Siri, like taking your phone and then, hey Siri, and talking with the thing. It doesn't feel natural. And what is nice also in mixed reality or in virtual environments is you can actually give AI a body. It hangs out with you, it has a face, it shows emotion. It feels more natural in just talking with a device. But let's see, mixed reality, virtual reality is currently not the hippest hype topic. And maybe even the robots, you don't have to talk in virtual reality with them. If you see in Beijing or something, they're running, they're dancing, especially in China, you see that a lot, So maybe I think in the future, we definitely will talk not just with the mobile phone, we will talk with robots in virtual reality, whatever. It will be more natural, not just talking with them.
It's similar to the Microsoft hologram, so in virtual reality. So that's an example as well.
I did a lot with that stuff with AI in mixed reality.
Yeah,
I'm still doing that actually. I'm still doing.
Oh, really? Yeah, maybe next time.
Before publishing a SDK, I have a. By the way, I did before the I Love SharePoint. Now I made a new thing. Just started half a year ago. I Love Agents AI, and and as a part of this, I have already a React wrapper for the Foundry voice live SDK. So that's quite easy to build all kind of voice agents. And I have also variations not published now where you can build agents with voice, live voice, avatars in mixed reality in Unity. And they can do more things. You can set guide points. They can walk with you somewhere. They can look something. They can spawn objects. They can change the environment. So I hope I will find time to publish that. So I'm still doing that stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe we switch soon to the GraphRAG. If not, it gets so many things. That maybe
it's mixed reality. It's quite good mixed reality. So okay, so has this episode theme is mixed reality? No, GraphRAGs. Apologies. What is GraphRAG first? A simple question, and why is it used? Why is it used for? What can you use it for?
Yeah, wait. I switch here to my screen. I will
sure.
tell you what you see there, because the basic thing what I'm seeing, you see a lot of. I think you can see that, right? So
I can see it now.
Okay, yeah. So I build a lot. If you're working with customers, there's currently still, there's RAG or retrieve augmented results is a very important topic for customers, because AI has a lot of power, Gen AI. But if you talk with ChatGPT, whatever, they have only general knowledge. And for sure, this is not the public knowledge. Or the companies have their private knowledge and they don't want to make that public. So you have to somehow make the AI aware of your own knowledge, and RAG is the way to do this in companies. But I see, it is not just done. If you take all data, you just put it into, you throw it into the AI, and then you think, oh, something great's coming out, like you see on that screen here. So you still have, especially with RAG, you have the problem. It's the oldest kind of IT problem. It's called garbage in, garbage out, or even shit in, shit out, like you see here.
Yeah.
And the problem is, people think, they just put all the stuff, they have all that bad data, all that stuff into the AI, and then the AI makes something super magic out of it, and then finally it becomes great. But this, like you see here a little bit on the picture, where you have the image where you have left the bad data, then you have the AI dealing with that shit. And then you see on the right side of it, you see, what actually happened is the AI is really good to make not true things sounds very true, and so what happened is you have that shit data, but AI really presented you in a really nice way that it even sounds super convincing. And I think it's even more dangerous because it may be completely wrong answers, because you already feed it in bad data.
Yeah,
do you know that problem?
Yeah, so garbage in, garbage out, whatever you put in, you get back out. So you have to clean your data. You have to make sure your data is 100% before you get like good results in AI terms.
Yeah. And then there is another thing is, what you happen then if you do a RAG solution, you have the data and then you chunk them. And then you have small parts, there are also a lot of different chunking strategies, how big, how small, semantic chunking, and a lot of different chunk strategies. But in the end, you have a lot of chunks. And imagine you have millions of documents, and then the AI does a search, a vector search, at least understand that thing, and then it gets, a lot of chunks. And it's just fragments of all the data. So it gets a very, fragmented view. And it's hard to see the big picture, because it just gets fed with a lot of fragments. And I call it actually, I did that session together with my friend Said, who is actually working now for Neo4j. And I call this actually, you give the AI, if you use that classic RAG approach, I always say you give it chunk food. No, wait, I have to switch here on the slide. And the idea is, then I come with the idea, I call it the knowledge sandwich. And it's a little bit like the story is, you need kind of like on a burger or something, you need a bottom bun somehow, which, let's say, have the nutrition, the carbs and things like this. And I say, you have to prepare the data. So, and I use, in many cases, if you have really big data, I use a lot of Microsoft Fabric for this data foundation. And I really prepare the data. And also I did that in my example that I will show later. I really make over many stages, prepared the data in a good way. And here I also use actually Foundry. I use content understanding a lot here for actually making sense of that unstructured and semi-structured data in Fabric before I feed it into the graph. So I do a lot of preparations. And then in the end, Foundry, you have a lot of things like Foundry IQ, and it is more about, and even agent frameworks, more about presenting the knowledge, but it's agent framework also doesn't have tool for ingestion or something like this. So I use Fabric for that part, and more for the visualizing and agentic work on the front, I use Foundry. And I like, as kind of a knowledge layer, I really like to use Neo4j as a graph database. So and what the advantage of the graph database, so I have now to switch a little bit to the demo, but I explain it then also, because you have to see it somehow, what is the difference. Or let me go first to that thing that people underestimate. 1 second before we go to the graph. What I'm doing in a Fabric, I will not stay too long here, and I recommend is I use here a data set. It's called a contract understanding, QART contract understanding Atticus data set, and it's I think 250 larger real contracts that are open source and public. And there is a benchmark for AI parsing for this, so you know how good your parsing actually is, because in many cases you parse things, and you actually, I'm not a lawyer, and they're complex contracts. I actually don't know how they are, and so they already tag them with what kind of a contract it is, what clauses has the contract, so that I have a benchmark and see actually how my parsing is working. If the AI present me that, it always sounds great. But I don't know. And with this contract data set, I could really evaluate that my pipeline is actually good. So, and what I'm doing then in Fabric, I use a medallion strategy that's very famous in such tools like Bronze. I download them, then I extract the JSON with content understanding, and then I actually even do the chunking and the semantic stuff. I already do that also here and store it in the gold layer. So I can, from there, I don't have to calculate the vectors all again. I can publish it to the graph. Neo4j has, beside the graph database, also a vector index. So I can also use this for also querying a graph with vector. But I can also, in parallel with the same thing, I can push to Azure AI Search. So I'm quite flexible with that thing. So this is what I'm using as a pipeline for this. And here I'm at the QART data set. I'm very happy. Sorry, I think I don't have the correct number here, but I made it. Currently, I think I have even the benchmark on this thing for the best result of the parsing of this. I have that also anyway published on I Love Agents, so the quality of the data is already good, and then I put it in the graph. And what is the interesting thing about the graph is, first, I just query here the schema of the graph, and what you will see here, I think this is zoom to fit, how to make that. Full screen, this still.
So is that the graph? Is that a graph for the process of the data?
This is Neo4j, and this is actually the schema of the graph. So it's actually schema-less. You don't have to, not like in SQL, you don't have to define before the table. It's actually, the graph is built just with inserts, so it's dynamic. But you anyway can ask for which labels / nodes it has. And you see, for example, we don't have the time to go in all facets of this, but it shows, I show it the schema that I used for the extraction of it. I have here the contract, which is the most important part. And then a contract is governed by a law, and you see it's not just a relation like 1 to n, it's actually a relation which is called governed by law. And then I have also a contract with a relation, and it has is party to. And for sure, a contract can has one to many different parties that participate. And the party, an organization also has a contract. This is, for example, important because you see governed law. If I make a company a deal from Germany with a US company, it's quite important if the if the law, the jurisdiction is USA or Europe. That has a really big impact on contracts. So, and then on the other side, I have things like, and this is getting even more interesting. I have the contract, and that contract has contract clauses. What is actually in the contract, like, non-disclosure agreement, competition clause, and many different kind of clause. And I have a clause type, what kind of, they're already predefined legal clause types that from the QUAD data set, I get them pre-classified. And then I have to excerpt. Those are actually the real text, the real paragraphs from the clause. And if you see it here in the schema a little bit, they also have embeddings. So I have the real text in it. And I have also an embedding that I can do a vector semantic search to find them. So you have these relationships. And I just do here a quick query.
Yeah, because you can probably expand it to like the clause type as well to make it longer.
In the next view that I'm showing here.
Okay.
So I close this. This is now a real query, and I really like that query language, to be honest. Maybe I zoom a little bit in. I really like that query language, very natural. It's called Cypher, and it cannot go too deep in it. It's called match, and then it's say this is the variable C, and then I say all contracts, and this is how you describe that. In that braces here, in the round one, you have a node. And this defines the slash, the minus is just a relation. This is then a relation type. You saw like governed by has clause.
Yeah.
And then in which has a contract clause. So you write it really like, like a node, a relation, and then a node. You can really write much more complicated things, but would here a little bit too much. So now I query that. It's by default, there are more contracts, but it's a limit that it not overflow here. Let me also make that a little bigger. And now we see these are all contracts. Or this seems, it's a smaller contract. It's like so nice. This is a smaller contract, but we see there is also larger contracts.
Oh. Okay.
So you see here is and you see how many different clause type this actually has.
Yeah.
And then you can, what could we choose? Yeah, and then we expand, for example.
Yeah.
This is now in the second hop. This is one hop is the contract, and we have all the clauses, but then we can do even more hops. And we see now this is the anti-assignment, and it actually consists out of 3 paragraphs that I chunked. The anti-assignment. You see here the original, you see the text here, and you see here the embedding. So this is the actually anti-assignment clause. But then it's getting interesting because then you say, hey, anti-assignment, I can expand that again here just in the view, and you see, now you see also all the contracts that also have that anti-assignment.
Yeah.
And this is all, you can do that, like there's actually no limit how many hops you can do. So it is all, you see like a network. It's just connected. It's not just a chunk. It's a network.
Okay. So where do you start? By creating a contract first?
Sorry, again?
Where would you start? Like if you do this from scratch, by doing a contract first, isn't it? Or create a process?
Yeah, this is what I have that, by the way. I think I also have it as example how to build this on my I Love Agent blog I think on GitHub, so that people can start with this. I would not recommend maybe to trying it to use the Fabric thing. Because this is more complicated. I have a simpler example of it where you just use the LLM for the parsing, but the quality is not as good as if I do it with Fabric, but for playing with that's enough.
Okay, yeah. Visually it looks good. So
yeah, then this was but this was not what what the end user will see. This was actually like the SQL Studio, the studio for J console. So what I'm doing here is, that's also what I use most of the time, to be honest. I use Agent Framework together with the AGUI plugin for this protocol between agents and UI. I really love that protocol, AGUI, and Agent Framework has an adapter for it. And then, it looks very normal. And if you do the query, it's actually not so exciting. At the beginning, I just do a normal query here, like which organizations are party to contracts governed by United States law. So it looks like a very simple query, but it's even 3 hops. You have to first check the contracts, which jurisdiction, which law they have, and then you have to check also which organizations and which countries they are in. So it's not, you cannot do that with one query. Usually you would have, if you don't have a relationship, you could not do that in one query if you just have chunks. So I executed here. And you see what it's doing, actually. AI is really good in writing Cypher and that queries. What it does here, I use here, by the way, the MCP.
So that's looking at the schema for the contract first. Okay.
It's exactly what I did in the example. Remember, I showed you first the example with the schema. Yeah. And the AI also asks, hey, what data I have? And then it creates, and it's really good in writing Cypher. It can write SQL, whatever, but it also writes really good at Cypher queries. You see here also that query, and the answer, doesn't look very special. It actually looks like a completely normal result that you would see from a chat agent. But I also built in a visualize as graph, and then you see actually on this data that you see here, you see that's United States, and then you see here the different contracts.
Oh, so that the contract will be different states, maybe in the country,
you see here all the relation, and this was all one query. All this data here is coming from one query because it, could query all that things in one thing. If you would do this with a chunk thing, it would have to take all the chunks, do a second query, looking for that thing, and another query, because it has no relation. It would just get the chunks.
Okay, so if you have like more than one query, this would get bigger, isn't it? This schema.
No. So it has to. It asks once for the schema to understand what it can query, but then it can answer many of the things, and you see really then, and not such a citation link. You can really then visualize also the complete graph which it used to build the answer.
Okay. Yeah, it's fascinating how you can visualize the process when you put in Neo4j for your data.
Yeah. So, and I think, what I say is usually if you do a normal RAG, for me, it's like junk food.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a better meal, you better eat a knowledge sandwich with a graph.
That's a good diagram, good illustration. Okay.
Let's go back to our
So where can other people learn more about it? This like RAG, is it for your blogging? So does it have information?
I think I have this contract example in a little lighter version. I have that also on GitHub and linked on my I Love Agent AI blog. Yeah. And I'm also happy I work more because I really like, I think Graph is really a big thing with AI. It will get much more attention. And I'm working recently quite close with Neo4j. And I also will do for Neo4j a lot of, especially for the agent framework and for Foundry integration. Yeah. Will also write the content there or support Neo4j also to get more into the Microsoft ecosystem together with my friends.
Yeah. So for those who want to learn more about GraphRAG, I would attach his blog or details on the show notes so you can get to it.
So
and if you want details.
And there will also be much more. There is already on the Neo4j. They have also a lab site, and there's also how to integrate it with Foundry and a lot of labs, which I will improve to, especially for agent framework.
Nice, brilliant. Yeah, it's quite good how you can visualize that. I didn't saw that before, that you can actually visualize the data. So the bigger the bigger the data on a query, the larger the visualization the graph would be, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's really a big difference from the quality. If the
Yeah,
AI really has, it's hard to do that later. But graph is not graph database, not a new thing. It was always good, and actually writing the cipher queries, if you have a good graph, it's not so hard.
yeah,
The problem all people usually have, and this is also where I help a lot, is actually building a graph. This is actually the hardest part, because we have all that non-graph data lying there, in I don't know, terabytes of data,
yeah,
and that's what I tried at the beginning, and this is how I did it actually in my simpler blog post. And you use the LLM, does extraction, but not all of that is right, and then you put it into the graph, and then the graph also has wrong data, and then the AI will also present wrong data. But this is not a special problem of graph. This is the general shit in, shit out thing. And then I started to use Fabric, and I make a lot of more data cleanup and different things. And then I could increase the quality massively. But it was really a longer pipe. And I think it's a lot underestimated
yeah,
how much you have to care about that ingestion part. And AI also helps there, because content understanding. I use a lot of content understanding. I'm actually quite happy with it. It does the PDF cracking. This is not so
yeah.
hard. But then you can also have this, custom schemas where you can extract the contact clauses, and it isn't content understanding. If you do custom analyzer, you kind of write for everything like a mini prompt for your different fields that it should extract.
So
And this
would you
is really
recommend?
powerful.
So would you recommend someone to go use Microsoft Fabric instead of using Graph first because of the data?
It's if you have really big data, and I have situations with customers that deal with really, really big data, then
Yeah,
Fabric is a good way to do this, because you can do experiments with Python. But later on it scales really on many nodes for bigger parsing. I think it depends a little bit. I like to use it. But what I really always use meanwhile is, I think content understanding got quite good, because that's also for large PDFs, the paging and
yeah,
everything. So I would definitely use content understanding as part of the ingestion layer for semi and unstructured data. And
yes,
Fabric depends a little bit on the data. What I didn't like in Fabric too much is, currently you're so productive with all that agentic tools like like GitHub Copilot, like Claude Code and things like this,
yeah,
and it's works also with the GitHub Copilot plugin, but works not so good as if you just do it plain, and the productivity is a little bit lower if you do this instead of, because the tooling, the agentic tooling is better currently without Fabric, but Microsoft's really hard working to improve that agentic tooling,
integrate it. Yeah,
because nobody wants to write big SQL statements or all that stuff.
no. Maybe they probably will put like an MCP in Fabric one time. So hopefully.
Yeah, they have
So
Foundry, they have Fabric IQ, they have
yeah,
already that stuff. And
nice.
I just saw today they also have some new AI tools for data wrangler, and for sure everything is AI. And
Yeah,
this maybe my last thing is really, I really like developing, but I also didn't show now the agent framework code anymore, because to be honest, I think just writing code yourself is nice, some maybe for a little bit learning. But in reality, if you're really good with agentic tooling, it's much more productive than you write anything yourself. The AI is really good. You just have to teach it. And so I think we are on a way from developer to an agentic engineer. And I think I barely write code. Even I like that a lot, but the productivity with AI is so much
yeah.
more.
It's the same like we're like reviewers. We look at review our code and stuff instead of writing it. So we get the AI to write it. We just look for our code for like any like if it's good quality, like proofreading and check the PRs and stuff, good quality. In terms
The
of
problem that I see there is for somebody, you see, I'm already a long time in that business, even like to over 20 years I'm doing stuff like this already. And I started with HTML, self HTML, I'm not sure 5.0 or something, just the beginning of JavaScript and HTML. And all that technology stack all behind it. And then you become kind of an architect that know Azure, Microsoft technology, Entra. You have to know all of that things. And if you monitor the AI and they get crazy, they do something, you think, what the hell did you do there? And why do you do that like this? It's like it's somehow like a junior developer with a PhD, very high ability, but
you have to.
No idea, and then it hacks there, and then you say,
that's what giving instruction is very important to the AI.
But if you know all of that thing and you can control it like a team of junior developers, it's really awesome. But if people now start developing with this and they don't have all that background about Entra and how all of that things, authentication, security, protocols working, and then they're just starting with AI, this is kind of even dangerous. They produce results, it looks nice, but behind this is horrible and unsecure and dangerous. So for people really knowing what they're doing and are good architects, it's magic. But it's also dangerous for if you are not so, because you trust in the AI and there's a lot of mistakes, bad architectural decisions, bad security decisions.
Yeah, so you never ever trust an agent. You have to trust the human behind the agent, that create the agent, because we're the one that engineer the agent itself.
You become more to a reviewer, to writing plans, and later on, do the reviews and guide this. But to really, writing the single code lines, this I think we will not see that so long anymore.
Yeah. We will be just governing, so we'll put in the guardrails for the agent evaluation. It will be interesting in a few years. Next year is going to be interesting. So as this episode is coming to an end, we just love to find out more about our guests. So, Christian, are you going to any other events? Any other like virtual reality? Are you talking to any about GraphRAG lately? Any events?
My next events that I'm actually doing is I fly, I think, in 2 weeks to Bangkok to the agent camp there. And directly from there, I do with Sai together the AgentCon in Berlin. So I fly directly from there to the AgentCon Berlin, which I'm actually organizing with Sai. And then I think 1 month later in June, we go to Brazil. So I come a little bit around to the AgentCon in Rio.
Yeah. So you have to pack for all temperature, go around the world. It's all fun anyway. So
I think this personal relationships getting with AI, when AI doing more of that logical work, I think actually what should you do? I think that emotional thing or having connections and just hang out and have a drink together, I think it even get more important in the times of AI because that somehow sets us apart from the AI and the machines. Huh?
We need human connections. We need the actual, not the agent itself. Don't get me wrong, agent is amazing, but we need the actual one-to-one connection than the agent because we're behind. We're the one that creating agents at the end.
So we let the agents do the work, and we, hanging out at the beach and have some drinks, Niklas. Huh? That's the plan.
But you still have to look after the agent. You have to do the ground governance of the agents. You have to do the security, like behind the scene, like the infrastructure, basically. So if you want to watch his talk next month at Agent Camp Bangkok, go to Bangkok and go to Thailand. It's an amazing place, like Christian said. I've been to there once and it's quite good. You get there's always food every night, 24 hours. So It's amazing street food as well. So if you like Asian food, it's amazing there as well. It's very cheap as well, so you can do that as well. Yeah, and hope everyone learned a bit about the importance of using GraphRAG and then when to use it and when to use Fabric when you have to clean your data more. So thanks a lot, Christian. Bye.
Bye.